Okay, so welcome back from break. We learned how to set up our document, and let me share with you, let me undo something I did while we were on break. Let me share with you how to change your master page, so double click on that if you haven't already done this, and many of you have because we did it kind of during break. Double click on that master page, and if it has 2 pages, which looks like 4 columns of stuff, we can make that a 1-page master page. So double click on that master page, right click on it, then go to Master Options for a Master. Click on that thing, it's 4 items down. And where it says Number of Pages 2, put in a 1 in there and hit OK. And now we've taken control of it instead of it having control of us. So now we have 1 master page instead of the facing pages. And then I will typically save when I'm done with that. All right. So we've got, just like a house, you have to build the foundation first. I just told you the story about how our house got hit by a tornado and it took the house and ripped it off the foundation, but yet the foundation was good enough that we got to use it again. Well, this is the foundation of our design. It takes a while to build, but it's really important. So we take the time to do the number of columns, with the measuring, all that stuff. Now we're ready to actually use it and build our house. So we're going to start with page 1. So double click. Don't single click on page 1. Double click on page 1. Make sure it is gray. If it's not gray, then you're still on a different page. So double click on page 1. Now we're ready to import some text. And before I mentioned, we don't open the Word document and copy and paste. That's not how we do it in the real world and in the industry. The reason why we don't do that is when you're working in the industry with editors and art directors and copywriters and proofreaders, they keep these Word documents on a server. And if they make changes, you guys remember me talking about Bob Dole and his pennies? Let's say that didn't accidentally go to print on that magazine and they actually had the word separated, pen and is. Or maybe they didn't, but they fixed it. And they fixed it in the Word document. Now, this takes third-party software, which we don't have, but I want you guys to get used to this. If that Word document is on the server and they changed it to Bob Dole's pen space is, it would automatically update in InDesign, assuming we do the right kind of thing. We don't copy and paste from Microsoft Word. Okay? So I'm trying to get you guys into the habit of doing things that are industry standard so that you guys don't get fired. Because guess what? If they change it on the Word document and it no longer says pennies, and yours still says pennies and it went to print, who gets fired? You do. Ah! It's a lot of pressure. So to relieve some of that pressure, I'm going to share with you the proper way to import text into InDesign. So how to do that is we go to File and we find the word Place, which is about 10 or so items down. File, Place. There is a keyboard shortcut that I use all the time. It's Command D, as in dog. File, Place. And if it's not linked to Project 1 already, which it should be because we recently saved it to that folder, you can go find your Project 1 folder and find that Garamond text for Project 1. Okay? So if you don't see that, go to your desktop or your flash drive, double click on your Project 1, and find your Garamond text that you downloaded from Blackboard. Garamond text -Project 1 DOCS, and hit Open. Now don't click yet. You'll see that you have what is called a loaded cursor. Now, missing fonts. What's that? Missing font. Oh, don't worry about it. If it says missing fonts, it doesn't matter because whatever font I use, we're not using it anyway. Okay, you'll get a little pink behind your letters, but don't worry, we'll get it in just a second. So if it gives you a missing font thing, mine did not, but if it does, don't worry. Now what we're going to do is we're going to simply click in the upper right-hand corner of the pink lines where the margin is. If you click, don't drag, just click. It will automatically flow that text into that column. It's like magic. It's fabulous. Now, we are going to separate these 2 headlines that say Garamond. We're going to put them in their own text box here in just a moment. So I'm going to share with you how to do that. I'll go plenty slow so that you guys are not getting lost. Now, I like to not have to come over here and click on tools to use them. I like to use as much shortcut action as I can. We are going to use a type tool for this. The type tool is a tool that looks like a capital T, and you'll notice that when I hover over it, it tells you what the tool is, and it has in parentheses a T. That means that if I were to hit the T on the keyboard, it would automatically go to the type tool. Okay, that's kind of cool. I don't even want to do that. I'm going to go back to the black arrow or selection tool. The cool thing about that selection tool is when I have a type box selected, if I double click inside of that box, let's say I'm going to click on one of these words, Garamond. It won't really select it, but I'm like, that's what I want. It will automatically turn into the type tool. You'll see over in your toolbar, it went from the black arrow to the T. Okay? So all you have to do, if you have a text box and you wanted to turn it into the type tool, just double click on that text box and the type tool comes up. So I moved the text box a little bit. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. The best way to use your zoom tool, which looks like a magnifying glass, is to click and drag over the area that you want to zoom into, then let off and it zooms exactly into that area. That is super fast. Here is the way you might do it if you don't know that little feature. You go, gotta chase it, click, click, click. That took a lot longer. So what I want you guys to try to get in the habit of doing is when you wanted to zoom into something, just click and drag in a box over where you want it to zoom, and it's done. Okay? Now I'm going to hit the T. Oops, I hit the T and it went right into typing the word, the little T there. Oops, you have to be careful of that. If you hit the escape key, it'll automatically go back to the selection tool here. Excuse me, I'm rolling around here. But then you can double click back on here. Okay, we are going to click and drag over the two Garamonds, but I want you guys to see something before we get too far into this. One of the things, I'm going to zoom in even further. One of the things you see that when I clicked and dragged, in my case, it grabbed a little extra space at the end of my Garamonds. Now if you clicked and dragged like this, it will not grab that little extra space. It's not actually a space. I want to share with you something that you will find extremely useful and important throughout the semester, and that is a thing called non-printable hidden characters. And these will be important later, and we'll learn why. But I want us to know why it has that extra space right here. That's not really a space. There's no space bar that's been hit there. So we're going to see what that is. So if you go to Type in the menu up at the top, and you go down to the very last item in the list, which is Show Hidden Characters. There's little backwards P's there. What are those? Well, those are symbols that tell someone that the return key has been hit. So I just hit you don't have to hit the return key, but I hit the return key one more time, and you'll see another one showed up. That symbol means paragraph end, the end of the paragraph. Now that's going to become important later. You'll also see, and as I zoom in, they don't get any bigger usually. Oh, now they do. Fabulous. Used to those would stay tiny and it was hard to see them. You have between each word, the space bar has been hit. That's the invisible character for space bar. So the space bar actually has a character in the software, and it looks like that in the invisible. All right, so let me zoom back in here. And what we want to try to get in the habit of doing is when you are selecting text, make sure you drag past the end of the paragraph so that you're getting that extra invisible. Now with the invisible characters or hidden characters turned on, I could see them. If I went to Type and hit Hide Hidden Characters, you cannot see them. Okay, so you want to get in the habit of when you're clicking and dragging on something, drag a little past the end to get that little paragraph, the ending paragraph mark. Okay? We're going to cut that and copy it into its own box. So what's the keyboard shortcut for cutting it? Command X for cut. Command C is copy only, and it'll still leave it there. Command X copies it and deletes it. So Command X. Yay! Now let's say I wanted to zoom out and I wanted to see the whole layout. Does anybody know the keyboard shortcut to zoom out and see the whole layout within that document?
Command 0.
Command 0. Oh my gosh, Command 0, not Command O. Command O is, hey, I want to open up another InDesign document. Oops, nope, that's a letter. The number 0, Command 0, will zoom out so you can see the whole thing at one time in your monitor. Now I am going to shorten this text box just a little bit. So I grab the black arrow tool, also known as the selection tool, and I'm going to click on that middle square node. It's a little anchor point. I'm going to drag that down, it shortens the box and moves that stuff down just a little bit temporarily. I don't know where it needs to go, but right now is where I'm just getting it out of the way. Okay, we'll deal with that later. Now what I want to do is I want to draw a box for both of those Garamons. So I am going to use the type tool to draw a type box. I don't want a regular box, I need a type container. So you get your T tool, your type tool, and you will then click and drag a pretty sizable box across both of the columns. We're breaking the grid when we go across columns, and we are having a pretty good sized text box. And if it's not tall enough, don't worry, we'll fix it later. And we are going to paste the two Garamons in there. What's a keyboard shortcut for paste? Command V on a Mac, Control V on a PC, Command V as in Victor. And I don't know why it did this, but it put an extra return there. You see my little cursor is blinking right here underneath the Garamon? If it does that, just hit the delete key once because you don't need that extra space, that extra return. I don't know why it does that. Now, in the book, and by the way, I am on page 1. Make sure you're not on the master page. We talked about double-clicking that page 1 earlier. So if I put this on the master page, it'll happen on every page now. So we just want to make sure we're on page 1. In the book, it says, for Garamon, we're using the typeface Garamon. Oh, well, this isn't Garamon. Let me hit Command A for at least the headlines. Command A is select all. And right now, it looks like this is using some form of Helvetica. But we want to choose the Garamon that we loaded and activated. And not all Garamons are the same. There may be a few Garamons on here. There's an ITC Garamon, then there's an Adobe Garamon. Oh my gosh, which one did we load? I do mark you down if you don't use the one that I gave you, and there's a good reason why I do that. Because if a client gives you a specific Garamon and you use the wrong one, it causes all sorts of chaos in their document. So we use the ITC Garamon, I'm seeing right here, ITC Garamon. So what we want to do is we want to choose the ITC Garamon for this, and we want to choose just probably book. Book is the normal one. There's a lot of Garamon there. See all the different styles of Garamon. ITC. ITC stands for International Typeface Corporation, just so you know. There are several companies that make or distribute, sell fonts. Adobe, ITC, which is International Typeface Corporation, Linotype, AGFA. So this is ITC's Garamon. Okay, so it's Garamon, ITC, and usually if it has an STD, this is one time when you want an STD. If it has an STD at the end, I have supplied you that font. Thank you, I've given you your STD here. But if it doesn't have an STD at the end, chances are I did not give you that font. Okay, so that's one key to look for, is look for the STD. And I'm sorry that's gross, but it's, it is what it is. What else am I going to call it? It says it's an STD. So just keep that in mind. You want STDs from me because they're good. For my fonts. Okay, so I just made that Garamond. And while I'm here, I probably could go down here to this paragraph. Watch this, guys. This is so cool. You could sit there and click and drag. But watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clicks gives you the entire story. 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks. Oops, let me get in there. 4 clicks gives you a whole paragraph. 3 clicks gives you the whole line. 2 clicks gives you 1 word. 1 click just puts it right in there. Okay, so you guys don't need to click and drag when you need a whole paragraph. Just do 4 clicks for a whole paragraph.
Which Garamon did you use?
ITC, Garamon book. Book, thank you. Yeah, book. The style was book. We're going to make this one also ITC Garamon book. And let's find that. Not book narrow, just regular old book. There we go. Now it's safe to say that every font on this page is Garamond, which it's supposed to be, because the type is about Garamond. Now, the second page will be about Baskerville, so guess what font you'll be using on page 2? Baskerville, very good. Page 3, we're going to be using Bodoni. What font are you going to be using on page 3? Bodoni, not Baskerville, because page 3 is about Bodoni. And then page 4 is going to be Century Expanded. Guess what font you're going to use? You guys are getting this. Page 5, we're going to use Helvetica, and it's all going to be type about Helvetica. What font are we going to use on page 5? Well, you guys are genius. I love you guys already. A+ for everybody. Okay, now you'll notice that I just clicked my cursor into my Garamond headlines here and with my type tool, and I hit Command A because the book says to make this It says set the display type in 72-point type, solid. Oh, what's that mean? U/LC. What's that mean? And also for the second one, all caps. Like solid U/LC. What's that mean? Okay, solid means the leading amount, which is the space between the lines of type. The leading is the same number as the type size. Okay, so what they did, instead of saying, because people are lazy, so they come up with efficient ways to shorten things. So if I said, hey, set this 72 points with an additional, well, with 72 points of leading, we'll see how long that took me to say it. Where if I said, hey, set this 72 points solid, I'm done and can move on to the next thing. Time is money, and so we shorten a lot of things. So if it says to change this, what? Oh, that's my Camtasia, excuse me. If it says to change this to 72 points of type with 72 points of leading, or solid, we would find the size of the type in this field on the control panel. It has a big T with a little t next to it, and that's your font size. And we're going to choose 72. Oh, wow, that got really big. And then the number underneath it, it's got auto leading selected. How I know? It's got parentheses around those numbers. I should never see parentheses there. We want to set that also to 72 points. Okay, so both of these numbers are 72 points of type for the size and 72 points for leading. This type is set solid. Now I'm going to show you, I would show you on the board, but since I'm recording, I'm going to show you what that would be looking like if we were to write it out. And if somebody said, hey, I need Garamond set 72 solid, it would be this. Garamond 7272. And there's a slash between them. The first number, what we call the top number, because oftentimes when we're writing it, it's on top. The first number refers to the type size, and the second number refers to the leading size, the amount of leading. Okay, and we say it Garamond 72 over 72, or in this case, Garamond 72 set solid. All right, so that's some lingo that we use in the industry that's it's all pretty standard, but unless you've taken typography or in graphics, you wouldn't know that. So Garamond 72 set solid, or 72 over 72. 72 points type with 72 points of leading. Good to know. All right. So we have Garamond 72 over 72. Now the first one, it said U/LC. Oh my gosh, what does that mean? Does anybody know? Upper and lowercase. So is this upper and lowercase? Yes. Yeah. Got an uppercase G, everything else is lowercase. Great day. The second one, it says to make it all caps. Here is not what to do. Do not do this. Do not delete this. Hold down caps lock and start typing in Garamond, because you are wasting your precious life. What would you do instead? Click on the big TT, the all caps TT right here, right next to the point size. You see big T, big T, big T, big T. Excuse me. Now at home it's big T and little t. No, big T and little n for Miss T. But big T, oh, bam, done. I don't want to sit there and type that in again. Now I know this project doesn't say anything about kerning, but my gosh, we have to learn about kerning. I'm going to zoom in just a bit so we can see these a little bit better. Make that a little smaller. And I am going to show you how to deal with kerning. Kerning is the fine-tune adjustment of space between two characters. So like this G and this A, let's imagine if I had a little dump truck that drove along the tops of these letters. Beep, beep, I'm a dump truck. Beep, beep, beep. He's backing up and he can dump some sand in between the N and the D. Yeah, that's a good amount of sand. He comes over here between the O and the N. That's probably a little bit more sand that was between the N and the D, maybe just a little bit because that's shape. And he backs up and he puts some in here. Well, the idea is for that dump truck to have about the same amount of sand between each letter. And right here, he's got less sand than between here or between here. And certainly, he's got a lot of sand to dump in between these two. So what you can do is you can let the computer do a lot of this for you now. Used to, we had to do this manually. And up here where we clicked on big T for all caps, come over here to the VA that's on the top that has a slash between them. And this is your kerning. If I float my cursor over there, it'll tell me kerning. And where it says metrics, we choose optical. And you'll notice slight differences in position of letters, and it actually looks a bit more sexy space-wise than it did before. And yes, it is sexy. I'll argue it till the cows come home. Type is awesome. I've been working with type for a long time. So let me make this metrics and optical. So we have, it may not be that noticeable, but these two are kerned differently. This one was the way it came before we kerned it, okay, the bottom one. You'll see that there is less space between this O and this N than there is here. It's making these fine-tune adjustments to try to, best it can, give it more of a smooth transition from one letter to another so it reads better. And we especially do these in headlines. We do not do this in body copy. So you might want to kern especially anything that's all caps. We could kern the one that's upper and lower case too. It's not as important. It pretty much takes out about the same amount of space between all the characters. But upper and lower case, or uppercase, it does a lot of variation between the characters. So we just learned about optical kerning, and we didn't even have to hardly do anything. Now, if you wanted to, let's say between this A and that R, it's like that is one whopper space. I could go here to the kerning area, and it put a 16 in there. I'm going to put the arrow down, and I'm going to take some of that out. I'm manually kerning now. So the optical kerning is okay, but I like to manually kern because I am a typography wizard. And I'm trying to make this look a lot better. Now, and kerning is one of those things, it's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so is kerning. But I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. And when we're working in headlines and advertising, we kern quite a bit. And to the point where you'll notice that G and A is a little close together, but you'll notice that my serifs have run right into each other. And this basically creates a custom ligature. A ligature is when you have two letters that are touching one another. That's one big, my God, that is one huge ligature right there. Because if this was set in lead, cast lead metal type, that would have to be one chunk. And that would be called a ligature. So I am manually kerning even more to make this more desirable to my eye. And like I said, some people might go, no, that is too scrunchy. And some people might go, yeah, I like that. But kerning is one of those things that takes quite a while to kind of get the knack of to do it really well. So I have now kerned that headline. I still don't like what's going on between that G and the A. I'll do my best there. Some letter pairs are really difficult to kern. So we just learned about kerning. And if you wanted to practice kerning, there is a fabulous game online, and there's also an app for it. And so if you have a smartphone, you can do what's called the kerning game. And I believe this is it, and it's called Kern Me. And so to get started, I move this over here, and I'm like, oh, I can kern these. Does this go here and that go there? And how good was I? Move it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to compare. Oh, I only got a 59%. You see how kerning can be really difficult? Like what I think looks good, they think, oh, over there was a little bit better. Okay, 59 is not very good. Let's try to kern this word type. You can't move the first letter or the last letter on these. You just have to move the ones in between. I'm like, oh, how bad is this going to be? Oh, I got 73. I'm getting better. And I'm going to go, oh, geez, my kerning today is just really off. So if you guys wanted to practice kerning as a game and you didn't really want to try to have to do it for homework where it really counted. Oh, am I going to get 100%? Yes, finally. So I just finally kerned well. But it goes through, and you can do this to, I don't know how many sets of words, and it'll give you a score. And so the thing is to try to beat your score. Try to get 100 out of 100 every time. So one of the best ways to practice is this, because it doesn't count. It's like you can just keep doing it over and over until your eyes kind of start to get the idea of, oh, okay, I get what kerning is. So if you just type in kerning game, this is a great way to learn how to kern, and it doesn't affect any homework grades or anything. It's just to get your eyes trained to it. Nice little game. I digress. Okay, I'm going to hit Command 0 to zoom out, And I want to share with you another really cool tip that a lot of people don't know about. And a student taught me this, as students teach me so many wonderful things. I'm so old school that I get stuck in my old school ways, and then when software updates and they have something really cool that comes out, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Now watch this. You may have already known this. But in the industry, they always want us to make our bounding boxes about the size or shape of the type. Not really big like this. Now, it takes too much time to click and drag it and move it like this, and sometimes if we drag it too much, the type disappears because the box is too small. So here's what we do. Just simply take the lower right corner and double click on it, and it will automatically, it'll make it the size it needs to be so that it's not like some giant box with lots of empty white space. You can also do it in the bottom, like if I clicked on the bottom middle one, it did it there too. So you don't have to click and drag to get those bounding boxes. The blue box is the bounding box. The bounding box to conform to the type. Now, if you have a problem with that, sometimes it will. I've had problems where sometimes it does a little too much and some of my stuff disappears.
Actually make mine bigger.
Okay, double click right there. Oh, maybe, okay. Maybe because it's off the page. Let's try this. Oh, how very interesting. Well, yours is really fussy. Okay, it should work. We are having some fussy issues here and there that it's not working. I know T's having the issue and it should work and it's not. So this might not be working for everyone, but it should, and I apologize to those whom it's not working for.
I think I had an enter afterwards. I got rid of it.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. You had an extra paragraph return at the end.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Okay. So if you have an extra return at the end of this, where your cursor is blinking at the bottom, and you do it, it will probably give you some problems. Yeah.
Still a little space.
Your still is as what?
Has a little bit. I took out the enter, but it still has a little bit of space.
Whoa, mine just did something crazy. Whoa. Ah. Okay, if it acts crazy on you, just move your box manually yourself. It's just, it's just going to sometimes give us a little fit. But most of the time it'll work when we're not thinking about it, we're just doing it. It usually works. Today we're thinking hard and it just doesn't want to deal with it. Okay, we should save this. Command S. Okay, next order of business is getting this body copy set to what it says in the book. So I just clicked on the little middle node and drug it up close to the headline. Just give it a little space there. Now it's telling us text type for each of these typefaces. So this one's Garamond. Text type should be set 20 picas wide is the column width. Well, we took care of that earlier when we did the fake math. We're like, draw a square that's 20 and duplicate it and figure out what the space is. So when I click on this, it should be 20. How do I know? Up here in the width area, it says 20 picas because I did my math correctly. So it says make a 20 pica wide box, and it says to make the type justified. I'm going to click on this 5 times. There we go. Make sure it's all selected. And justified, I forgot my little finger pointer today. The justified setting is this button. Now yours is going to be probably a little bit more condensed. You'll have this area probably more towards the center. That guy right there, he's justified aligned. That means that both the left is going to be nice and aligned, and instead of having this all ragged, it'll be aligned to the right as well. So when I click on, I don't even use this button, by the way. I'll tell you how to do this without using the button. If I click on that button, it's justified with the last line aligned to the left. It makes them both straight on both sides. Emily, you got a question? Oh, hyphens! I was just going to tell you that. Earlier I said, I'm going to show you how to get rid of hyphens because they're the work of the devil. Beelzebub loves his hyphens, and we need to get rid of them. Hyphens are the work of the devil, folks. The only way that you get away with it in the real world is if you're doing newspaper layout. They love their hyphens because they can fit more words on a page. But for graphics and web, no hyphens. It's unprofessional. So you may have on your character control panel, which there's a little A right here. This is all our character control stuff. You may have the word hyphenate up there. I don't, but if you do, uncheck it. Mine will be in the backwards P for paragraph formatting on, oh, there's my little hyphenate thing. Make sure your text is selected. Uncheck it. We got rid of the devil's hyphens. Okay? So if you don't see it in the character control panel, which is a little A, I've got this capital A selected. That's by default showing. If you don't see any hyphenation up there, click on the little backwards P, the paragraph formatting, and check off of hyphen, but make sure the text is selected. Emily, thank you for asking about that. From this day forward, I want you guys to repeat after me. Repeat after me. Thank you. From this day forward, I will have no hyphens in any design work I do. Period. Thank you. Okay, you can stop repeating now. Guys, from this point forward, any exercise we do, any project, if you email me, I don't care if I have a hyphen, but if you have projects or exercises, if you have hyphens, I always take points away. So now we know how to kill them. Thank you. All right, so we killed hyphens. Now, it tells us in the book that was justified. Oh, by the way, if you don't want to have to come over here and click on, oh, I want to justify my type, or I want to align it left. Let me zoom in so we can see what this is doing. Or I want to make it centered, or I want to make it right, or whatever. There are keyboard shortcuts for this. Shift Command, on a PC it would be Shift Control. Shift Command L for left align. No. Yes. Shift Command what for right align? No. Really? Oh my gosh! It works. Shift Command what for center align? C perhaps? No. Oh my God! And what do you think for justified?
J.
Shift Command J. I don't have to go traveling all the way up here, wasting my day to go click on a button. You guys, time is money. You want to get out of here and go see a movie, go with your boyfriend or girlfriend, your partner, your loved one, your whoever, and you want to spend life having fun, not going, oh, I got to travel all the way up there and click on that and waste, 3.3 seconds of my life. And when you do that 100 times, that's a lot of minutes. It adds up. That's what I'm trying to say. Guys, all these shortcuts add up to serious time. So let's save that. So we just justified it. We just learned how to do keyboard shortcuts for that. We turned hyphens off. And it tells us that this first one needs to be set 11 solid. What's that mean? Now, right now, it came in as 11. Yay. But this leading is on auto. It's got the parentheses around the numbers. So 11 solid. Whoa, oh, wow, I'm going crazy. My mouse is going nuts. Let me make sure the typeface is 11. And the leading is 11. Now you'll notice when things are set solid, the areas where you have an ascender or a cap and a descender, the descender is the thing that drops down below the baseline. That G is a descender at the bottom. And the F is a capital, but technically it's kind of like an ascender. They're not touching. So when you have set solid, it's tight, but it's not touching. All right. Excuse me, I'm just having all sorts of fun zooming in and clicking on all sorts of things. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. I just hit Command minus a couple times just to zoom out a little bit. Now, it wants us to set this paragraph again. We're going to have to copy and paste it. So let's copy it. Control C. I'm going to hit the Escape key so I can get to my black arrow tool and then double click in there. I'm going to hit the Return key twice and I'm going to paste it. Maybe hit the Return key once. I don't know. There's enough space there, hopefully. I just hit the Return key and I hit Command V for paste. So I copied the first paragraph and just pasted it underneath itself, and I put a space between it. Okay. Now, this second paragraph. 4 clicks, you've got the paragraph. Don't click and drag. That just takes too much of your precious time. 4 clicks. And it says in the book that the second paragraph, we should continue to add line spacing, or leading is also known as line spacing, in 1-point increments. So in this case, the second paragraph is going to be 11 over 12. So it's not going to be 11 over 11. It's not going to be set solid. So here it's 11 points for the typeface. That's the top one, type size. And for the leading, it should be 12. Okay? And I save it. So same point size, just the space between the lines has gotten opened up a little bit. Okay, does anybody need me to review that again? I'm going to hit Command Z a few times. I'm going to review that. Okay, what we did to get to that second paragraph is we clicked 4 times on the first paragraph to select it. We copied it, which is Command C. We put our cursor at the end of the first paragraph. I hit the return key once, and I hit Command V to paste. Then I did 4 clicks to grab that paragraph, and I made this 11/12. Now, yeah. Oh, this is so weird. No wonder. You know, I'm looking at the book. The book had those sentences out of order on page 107. That's why those sentences were out of order. On page, where it tells us to get the copy on page 28, the book had flopped the sentences. So it doesn't matter. If we'll just make it whatever. Okay, now that one's done, and we have to do a third paragraph. So we're going to hit the return key, and it's still in its memory that we copied it. So we can hit Command V as in paste, V as in Victor for paste, and then you click 4 times on that last paragraph, and it tells us the last paragraph of the page should be 11/13. Okay, so we're going to make this 13 points of leading. Oh, there's no 13 in there! Ah! How do we do it if there's no 13 in there? Type it right in the field. So in this leading field, I just triple click in there. I like clicking and dragging. It takes me too much time. Triple click, and I type in 13. I hit the tab key just so it'll go away and get that to set. And there you go. That's 13 points of leading, 11-point type. And then we're going to save it. Now the last order of business on this page is to create your first and last name over in the second column. Now this one we will have to type in because it's not in Microsoft Word. So you will grab your type tool, which is the T, and you will click and drag a box as wide as the column, second column, and we'll align it to it's called clotheslining. When we'll align it to the top of the other column, we'll do that in a second. You want to type your name. Don't type my name. I can't believe it when people call their stuff my name. It happens. You guys get in some sort of robotic mode and don't put my name on your stuff. And you want to do that twice. And instead of typing it twice, just copy the first one and highlight it, copy it, put your cursor at the end, and then hit return and paste the second one. Okay. Oh, it was my first and last name. I'm sorry. Create a box and type your first and last name. Not mine, but yours. So a box that's as wide as the column. It can be a pretty tall box. You can always change it. Okay. Okay. Triple click. 1, 2, 3. Copy it. Put the cursor at the end. Hit return and not enter. Enter and return are 2 different things. Hit the delete key or hit Command Z a couple times. Guys, I want to share with you the difference between enter and return because it used to happen to me. I didn't understand what was happening. If I hit the enter key, which is found on your numeric keyboard over here, right down here, that is not the same as return. Oh my gosh, my name disappeared at the bottom and it put a little red thing right here. What that enter key is a keyboard shortcut that says break to the next page or break to the next column. Well, there is no other column and nothing's linked up, so it just disappears. So I'm going to hit Command Z. So make sure when you want to go to the next line, you hit return versus enter. And I'll share with you later when we have a little bit more involved exercise, I'll share with you when we would use the enter key. But in this case, it's return. I am so glad you did that because it used to happen to me all the time and I could not figure it out. Okay, for your name, basically, if you have a really long name, this might not work out, but we might have to make it a little bit smaller. For your name, it doesn't say how big to make it. It just says to help you better understand the individual personalities of the 5 typefaces, set your name in both all caps and upper and lowercase. The upper and lowercase should go first. Study the results and decide which you feel most clearly reflects your personality. So in this case, we're only going to do this in Garamond. So the first one, I'm going to make it kind of bigger. I'm going to make both of these bigger. 12 is just too small. I'm going to make it 30 looks good for me. Yours might need to be smaller, okay, if you have a longer name. Some of you guys have these whopper names. Like Sarah, if she does what her parents named her, she's going to be like, and she's going to have to make her small. Right, Sarah? Now, what it told me is it said, oh, by the way, this is not Garamond. What? You've been using Garamond all day. I know. The default font when you draw a text box is Minion Pro on the Mac right now. It used to be every so often they change that. It used to be Helvetica for a while. But if I click on that and I look up here in the font name, Minion Pro strikes again. Exactly. I check everything and I go, oh no, Minion Pro -2 points. Let's change that to the right Garamond. In this case, it would be the ITC Garamond book is fine. And then, if that makes it too big, we may have to make it a little smaller. And then your second one should be all caps, and you should not hold down caps lock and type it in. If you do, I mark you down. I'm sorry, that's how I am. That's how I roll. So Mustafa, that's where people say, Rebecca's hard, because I don't let you slip on stuff. We hit the big T. Oh no! I need to make this smaller. Let me select all of those in that box. I hit Command A, and I am going to use a keyboard shortcut to make this smaller. I'm not going to go up in here and start scratching these numbers. This isn't the lottery. Instead of scratching numbers, let me grab all these. I am going to, this is something new. Listen carefully. I am going to hold down Shift Command, and the comma has a lesser than character over it, so comma or lesser than. I did it until it fits. Ooh, I like it. Or Shift Command greater than if yours is too small. So that would be the period. So this is highlight the text, hold down Shift Command lesser than, which is the comma, or Shift Command greater than if it's too small. That is very nice. There's one other one that should work. Let me see if there's one other one. Should be one. No. Let's see. I was hoping there would be one that says fit content to frame, but in text it doesn't work that way. So but we can make the frame fit to the content, but I don't care about that. I was hoping there'd be a thing that was a keyboard shortcut that say, hey, fit that right in there to that box, but it doesn't exist. So we use Shift Command greater than to make them bigger, or Shift Command lesser than to make them smaller. And let's zoom out, and let's save, and let's do two other things to this, and then this page is done. We're not done with the assignment. We got 4 more pages to go, which I'm not going to demonstrate. Because you'll do the same exact stuff, but you'll be just using Baskerville on page 2. You'll be using and different type. You got to type your stuff in Microsoft Word. You'll have 4 different Word documents. One for Baskerville, Bodoni, Century Expanded, and Helvetica. You'll have to do some typing. Now, if I were a smart student, I'd buddy up with my BFFs, and I'd say, I'll take Helvetica if you take Baskerville, and hey, you over there, how about you take Bodoni, and let's share this stuff. That is not cheating. I don't care if you guys, somebody want to take Helvetica, go ahead. I took Garamond for you. I took that hit. I took one for the team. Okay, now let's, the last thing we want to do here, we want to click on the long column of text, and we want to simply double click on that bottom node so that the text box kind of just shoves up in there and shortens a little bit. It's called being tidy. And when you guys are doing layout, you want to be tidy. And then same thing with your name. Go to that bottom anchor point, double click on it, and tidy that up a little bit. And then just make sure, just for double measure, I'm with my black arrow tool, known as the selection tool. Click on your name in the box and wait till you get a green line that comes up that is closed lining to the top of the other column, and that will let you know that you are snapping right to the same place and it looks tidy. Okay, tidy is really important. It's aligned. Well, it's a green line. I'm sorry, I said a green box, but a little green line will pop up whenever. I don't know if you can see it right there. It's a little green line. It lets you know, hey, if you let go, it's perfect position right now. It's an alignment line. It says, hey, you are perfectly aligned if you let it go right now. Okay.
Sorry, not the name.
So what?
Not the name, for example. You want like the heading specific or not?
No specific position as far as up and down. Basically as long as it looks good. Okay? Yeah, I'm not going to be a stickler that needs to be so many picas down. Okay? Thank you for asking. Because, you don't want to get marked down for something that usually I'll tell you if something's important. And I typically try not to mark you down for something that I did not mention. Okay? I try to be fair like that. All right, so that was Garamond. Okay, now I go to page 2, and guess what I'm going to have there? Baskerville. Very good. So guess what I need to do now? Type in Microsoft Word from page 34 that paragraph about Baskerville. And this is, again, where I would maybe pair up with some buddies and work on this. So basically, here's what's happening. You have, right now, till 3:50. That's not a lot. It's 30 minutes. Me talking through something takes forever. To actually do it takes me very little time. You have 30 minutes to continue to work on this. Maybe get with some of your buddies to help you with this Word document stuff. Share it, flash drives, whatever. Email it to each other. You guys can email through Blackboard each other, and you can attach stuff. And then, spend some time to work on this. This is due at the beginning of class on Tuesday, so if you don't get it done today, it's technically homework. So I will be here Tuesday. I will be here at noon. So if you are running into any snafus, any problems, and you wanted to be here early to work on it, I can help you if you run into some snags. I don't do your work for you, but I'll be here for you. And if you have Indesign at home, I have the recordings as well. Now, keep in mind, we just did Garamond, Baskerville's next, and Bodoni, and so on. So I'm going to save this. And then Monday will come, or Tuesday will come, and I will share with you how to turn these files in. And Greg, Greg, I was thinking I was calling you the wrong name. Greg, you have a question.
Yeah, is anybody in this class after this?
Is there anyone here taking a class after? Is there a class meeting in this room?
I just wanted to see if I
What
could
day?
see.
Thursday? Yeah, at 6 o'clock.
Okay, so I get.
Yeah. So you guys can stay after. And by the way, just so you know, I am here because I am in that class at 6 o'clock in here. Yeah, I teach in here at 6 o'clock. So if you needed help after the class is over and you wanted me to stay after with you, if I don't have another appointment with somebody, I'll say, hey, I don't have an appointment. Let's go ahead and do this. So tonight, somebody's supposed to come in at 5, a new professor who is his first time teaching. But if he never confirmed, so I don't know if he's coming in or not. But if you guys need me, I can be here after class as well. Other questions? Emily?
Okay, you were saying like we're gonna do the exact same thing with
Yes.
the
It'll
other
be Baskerville, that information. It won't have any words about Garamond. It will be set in the font Baskerville, but it'll be 72 set solid. The second headline will be all caps, and then the body copy will be 11/11 for the first paragraph, 11/12 for the second. And so it'll be the same exact settings with the exception of you're going to change the font and you're going to change what the words say. Okay?
And then is it gonna be like I see
Is it going to be what?
what is the
Oh, I don't know. It just whatever I gave to you in that folder, you can go to that folder, and it will tell you that. Oops, I'm still recording here. It will tell you that Baskerville is Baskerville Cyrillic, and it'll have Baskerville Cyrillic LT. It always has the STD at the end. So when I go into InDesign, assuming that is activated, I'm going to just draw a text box and put my cursor in there, type some junk type in there, and I'm going to see what kind of Baskerville it has loaded, because there might be a few of them. Oh yeah, there's regular Baskerville, then there's Baskerville Cyrillic. Oh, there's the STD that I give to you. So this is the one, Baskerville Cyrillic, STD, and we would use upright in this case, more than likely. Incline is going to be italics, and bold, of course, is heavy. Okay, so this one will be upright. So sometimes it says Roman, sometimes it says regular, and sometimes it says book, and sometimes it says upright. Those all mean the regular one that's not bolded, not italicized, and all that. There's a lot of different names for that regular looking style. What? Any other questions?
My toolbox on the computer.
Your toolbox is disappearing on you? You accidentally might have clicked it.
It's here, but like, sometimes it's not.
So what, did you try to click on something?
I just,
You might have accidentally been clicked on the desktop. I wonder if you had clicked right in this black area right here, you wouldn't have been in Indesign. Pull this up so it goes right into the gray. That's okay, hit on the green button. So click on this gray band and just bring it up to the dark gray band. There we go. That way, you don't, if you click back there, you don't end up on your desktop somehow outside of the software, because it's really confusing.
I was trying to place it. I couldn't find out.
So, triple click in your Garamond. And highlight. You're going to click, in this case, because you want both of them, put your cursor down at the end of Garamond. You want to get that, so copy that, or cut it. And go ahead and let's arrow down 2 times. There we go. I hit delete just so that extra space on there. All right. Now get your type box, which it already is, type tape, and you're going to click and drag a big box all the way across. Just to the end. It's fine. We can do it. Go to paste, Command V for paste, and now you can make that Garamond. So hit Command A to select all of it. Garamond, the one with the S, the T, and the D at the end. I hate saying that, but it's gonna make me sound like a dirty person. But it is what it is. ITC Garamond STV. That's the one. Okay. And then that's the book, and that's good. And you want 72 over 72. 72 cent solid. Don't worry about italicizing the last one because in the example they have in the book on page 107, it's not italicized. So I know on the where we typeset it, the very last sentence is italicized on the page 28, page 34. But in the example provided, they did not italicize, so don't worry about that.
I had,
Did you get it? Did you get it in quick?
I had cut.
Oh, okay. Not this thing. What's up?
I just want to know, when you're done with all this, you package it up, so it'll be here.
Yeah. On Monday, I'm going to. Yeah. Let me talk about that now because if you guys have an older version at home, you'll need to package it. Guys, I know I just said it's work time, but I do want to make sure that, I know Mustafa may have this problem, and others may have this problem. If you go home and work on this, or even if you go to the library and work on it, I think they're a slightly older version of InDesign. So I want to share with you something that you should do every time, even if you're not done with a project. Something you should do every time that you are leaving, so that when, I don't care if it's here or home, every time you're done with something and you've saved it and you're ready to use it somewhere else, you want to do the following thing. I believe this is still recording. I never stopped it. You want to go to File, and you want to package this thing. It's 4 items up from the bottom on that File menu. And what this does, it will only collect the fonts I've used so far. It will not package my Baskerville, my Bodoni, and my Citrix Expanded yet because I haven't used them on this document. But it will package the Garamond. So I'm going to hit Package, and you have to save the document before you do this. On the printing instructions, these aren't important. These are not important. These are if I were sending it to a commercial printer. But I just hit Continue. Don't cancel this. Hit Continue. And then it will ask me, where do you want to put this folder? So I am going to just put in my Project 1 folder. And it names the folder. It creates a new folder. It calls it Project 1. It puts my name, and it puts the word folder at the end. The word folder is an indication that this was the thing that you packaged. So I hit Package. It does tell me, hey, do you own the rights to these fonts? Well, Ivy Tech does, so I'm going to hit OK. And it's writing an InDesign file, it's writing an IDML file, it's writing a PDF, and it's also packaging the one font that I've used in this publication. If this comes up, just close it. I don't even know what that is. Now I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to look in my Project 1 folder. Let me do this. There we go. Whoa. There we go. Sometimes you want to put folders where you want them. If that's the case, right-click on your desktop and go to clean up by or sort by none, and you can move stuff around. So here's my Project 1 folder. And inside of that Project 1 folder, I should see a folder called Project 1, my name, and the word folder at the end. That's the packaged folder. And if I'm at home, like Mustafa, he has an older version of Indesign, he told me. He may not be able to open this Indesign file at home. You might, don't know yet. But you most certainly will be able to open the IDML document. And it will open just like an Indesign file. Now, when you guys turn stuff in, you'll have to package it as well. So when you're finished with this and you're ready to come in, or maybe you're already here, when you're finished with this, package it, because that is one thing we'll need to do before we turn it in. And I'll share with you on Tuesday the steps to take to turn this in through Blackboard. We can't turn in the entire folder. We have to zip it, compress it before we turn it in. So I don't even have a place for you to turn it in yet. But I will have a place ready on Tuesday for you to turn it in. And I'll walk you through the process. But unless you package it when you're done with it, it may be a little difficult for you to manage. And I have to have you package them when you turn them in because I have an older version of InDesign on my laptop at home, which is where I do most of my grading. So I open your IDML files. Very good question. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate you asking it because it is timely, and I did need to talk about that. Any other questions? Yes, T.
So if we do want all of the fonts that you just downloaded, all of them, then we just need to at least use it in this document and then go through all of that?
Yeah. If T.S. or Miss T said, hey, what if I want to go ahead and have it packaged all those fonts? So like, let's say I were to go to page 2, and this was something I would delete later. But let's say I typed in the word Baskerville because I already have these fonts loaded, and I typed typed in the word Bodoni, and I typed the word in Century Expanded or just Century, if you don't want to have to do the whole word, and Helvetica. And I click on Baskerville, and I make it the Baskerville that's loaded, which would be the one with the S, the T, and the D at the end. Baskerville upright. For Bodoni, I'm going to click on it and find my Bodoni that was loaded, not the one that's already in the. So this would be, where is my Bodoni? There's the one with the S, the T, and the D. There's a lot of Bodonis. I got to book on that one. Century Expanded. I got to find that one. They're in alphabetical order. Sometimes that ITC or Adobe in front of it gets a little crazy looking. Century, where are you? Did I load it? There it is. Thank you. I know. My eyes. And Helvetica. Which one did I offer for Helvetica? Was it Helvetica New? I can't remember. Let's see. Make sure I get the right one. Just to make sure. Probably Helvetica New. That's usually what I get. Yeah, Helvetica New. New. So I'm going to make that Helvetica New. And I'm going to just make that. Oh my God, there's so many Helveticas. Helvetica New. Just regular old medium should work. Yeah. Yeah, just Helvetica New Medium. And now when I package it, it will package every single one of those fonts because they're used in the document after I save it. And I can delete that box later. So that is a smart way to do it. Miss T, thank you for asking. She's like, can I just, specify something as using one of those fonts and will it package it? So when I go to package this again, it will. And I'm going to replace the old one. And it's giving me an error, so I have to package it somewhere else. I'll take it to my desktop.
Century Expanded, are we putting Century Expanded as the...
You don't have to. Yeah, that's a good question. The question is, do we have to use the whole word Century Expanded for the headline? No, because when you do 72 points, it's such a long word that it drops off. So for Century Expanded, you can just use the word century, okay? Because it's so, when we make it 72 points, Century Expanded it puts it into 2 lines. It's too cumbersome, so just the word century is fine. So even though it's the font Century Expanded, we'll say just century on that one for the headline. Paige, thank you for asking about that, because it does give us problems using that big Century Expanded phrase. And yes,
That we had to write something on, like how we did our names in all caps, and then did you say that we have to pick which one that we like and why?
well, that's more later when we've printed these out. I'll also discuss printing on Tuesday.
So this is like all.
Yeah, we'll discuss which one you think is your favorite on Tuesday, okay? But just make sure that that's not Minion Pro, because that one always, people forget to, because you have to type this one in, people always forget to change it to whatever font it's supposed to be. So make sure that your name is not set in Minion Pro. Okay, I'm going to stop that recording. It's going to be a little long one, but you guys don't have to listen all the way to the